championships.
On tonight's episode of Boxing Legends, a hard luck story that ultimately ends with redemption and glory.
Good fights, bad fights. Legendary struggles that shall go down in the annals of history. I've seen them all. But that night, I bore witness to the extreme spectaculosity of two titans in the ring with one throne.
Ladies and gentlemen, unprecedented as it is, the challenger refuses to come out first. He maintains he already holds the title. To prevent further delay, the champion has agreed to walk to the ring, where introductions will follow when the challenger joins him.
I'm not to get hit, kid.
People want to know who take the hardest punches and who take the most hits.
Who do I think is the best?
We all know who's the best.
He was a phenomenon.
When you think how he started, it's like a movie or something.
I don't know. Maybe a local kid. Maybe he drifted in from wherever. Atlantic's that kind of place. He just worked at the factory, kept his head down.
Yeah, me and the kid, we sparred a couple nights so we get the why. He had natural ability. Natural. But he had to make the ring. That killed me. What a waste.
No question. It was Randall. Randall pulled the kid off the trash heap.
Well, brother Randall could box, but, that was back in the day.
Randall had his shot. Blew it. The world is full of Randalls. Me and him watched boxing on the big screen. It was all wrapped up in Jesus Silva's career.
When the factory closed down, a lot of guys went down with it.
Yeah, I hounded him. Woke his ass up 6 a.m. every morning. He let me drag him to the gym. Of course, I helped him with Silva training.
Silva drifted up from Panama looking for work.
Silva was ex-boys too, but he got out a few years back when he started making waves on the boxing scene.
When it comes to being in the ring, Silva got skills, he got grace, and he's brutal. There's no way he's letting the kid take any of that juice. That's not gonna happen.
You like that, huh? You want some more?
I was staring retirement in the face and liking it. Then Randall shows up all cracked up about this kid. So I say, yeah, I'll take a look at him. It was just to shut Randall up.
Frank has always had an eye for talent. And I think the moment the kid walked into the gym, Frank saw it.
In Poland, we have a saying, even the greatest oak was once a little acorn. It was Frank's idea to bring in Larry that early.
Larry Easton? I am who I am.
If half the things they said about Larry were true, he'd be a quarter of the man he is. And it's all true.
Larry Easton was that's what he was.
People say all kinds of things about Larry. But he had ambition, and now he's wide open for new talent. He didn't care how green.
I mean, on some levels, I think Larry was a Don wannabe. The only thing missing was the suit, the cigar, and the quintessential Don Fro.
Really? I've never heard that. But if America didn't have a Don King, they'd have to invent one.
My advice, you just never get in a room with that guy on your own. Or a car, or an elevator. Anywhere.
You know who found Jesus Silva? Me. See, my talent is seeing talent. And you know what? Lightning can strike twice.
When a guy moves his shit into the gym, the deck always gets reshuffled. You feeling me?
You know how fighters get. Small space, lots of fat egos. McBride, it hurt his pride.
McBride needed to wake up and see his place on the ladder. See, if the kid kept jumping through Frank's hoops, the McBride fight had inevitable written all over it. It was an obvious choice.
Larry wanted me to take care of him, give him the Jesus Silva treatment, taste the silver spoon. All I had to do was open the door, he stepped right through.
No, I hadn't heard of him, but who had? I saw him in a magazine or something. That was the first time.
Oh, well, once I got hold of him, it was green lights all the way, naturally.
What you have to understand is Wilton Green was also Jesus Silva's agent at the time. So what's he gonna do?
It could have gone two ways.
It was only gonna go one way. Silva knew it. Silva knew Mr. King, Don King, was taking a look around the gym and didn't want competition.
And nothing ever happened. Yeah, I don't know where that story came from. Silva never touched him. You know, they never even sparred together. Silva was still way out of his league.
Silva was cold as a Polish winter. He just shut the kid right out.
You see that? That's my ass. That's how Polish Frank Cardelli is.
All credit to the kid. Silva's attitude drove him to work hard.
Yeah, I was in the gym when that happened.
The kid just kept... He wanted to talk to Silva. He couldn't take the hint.
Silva should have been bigger than that. He didn't need to go acting like a little 5-year-old.
You feeling me yet? You feeling me?
It was nothing. Just got blown way out of proportion, as usual.
Well, it's all on some levels about give and take, right? But Silva, he likes everybody to give while he takes. He's not trying to give up any spotlight, especially to the kid.
Silva was one of them fighters, always wrapped up in himself, like Christmas paper, you know?
After that little tete-a-tete, Silva said he wanted me to ditch the kid. Said he'd walk if I didn't.
Silva came to me to arrange it. He wanted to fight him. He didn't care where. Silva versus the kid. Oh, ching, baby, that's money to me.
Watch my lips. Yes, 100% was gonna happen. But if Don King comes knocking, you answer.
Come knocking? What? I don't need to get out this chair. Boxers find me, man. They come from all over the world.
Ultimately, the fight never happened. Wilton and Silva broke free from Larry, and I think it's safe to say Larry was not happy.
No comment.
Silva was still Larry's biggest earner by a long shot.
Well, Wilton stayed with the kid, but that wasn't out of any kind of loyalty. Business is business, you know. He doesn't have that kind of backbone. I think it was just safe for him to finish up his contract with the kid.
I knew Wilton was trying to steer him towards a fight with my highest ranker.
I was just notching off the fights, just hoping he would have enough left in him before he got to me. I couldn't wait.
It was as much about Wilton knocking Carla out of business as anything to do with the ring.
In her own way, Carla was as ruthless as Wilton.
It was a bad time. It was Silva everywhere.
Major networks, newspapers, magazines, TV ads. Yeah, you could say hooking up with Don worked out for Silva.
There's a line in life. On one side of the haves and the other side of the have-nots. Now, Silva has Don and the kid has not. That's natural conflict. That's what you make a movie about. To me, that's the time to make a documentary. Someone had to make it.
Silva could always run fast enough to take off, but he needed me to lend him some wings so he could fly.
No, look, I'm not going to... No comment.
You know, the kid just wasn't easy. He just lost his agent, and Larry's head wasn't in the game just then. I think he felt he went as far as he can go in the game.
Who knows how close he was to quitting when he didn't even know?
That camera crew tracking down Silva, that got under the kid's skin too. I mean, pretty much any name in the sport that you can think of was getting called to do interviews. So yeah, he was low.
Some people were saying the kid can't go no more.
Larry never cared about anyone except himself.
She just burst into the gym like a tornado, asking where is he? He didn't train for weeks after that.
Carla had a reputation in the business. She's efficient.
When Carla's in motion, you don't have time to think.
The kid beat Montel. I knew what he had under the hood, and I wanted him on my books. I knew I could take him where he wanted to go.
Yeah, Silva's name came up in the discussion.
I told him he'd have to earn that fight, and it was a way off. I wanted to see if he was hungry enough. It was great to see things coming together. He was starting to look good out there.
That's when I first heard of him, you know?
Yeah, Carla had a lot to do with that. She gave him a shot in the arm. He started to finally believe in himself after that.
Larry, he only ever cared about the biggest fights out there. Everybody knew that. That's the way he operates.
What did anyone expect from Larry Easton?
Maybe Larry wouldn't have jumped straight for the money. But I had some things I had to iron out first with the kid. I had to get him some warm-ups. And Carla, she kept Larry off my back.
In my mind, in Frank's mind, it was always going to be those 3 fights. Then, if he had the chops, Silva.
I think Larry saw this fight as a chance for him to move up a division. Here he had one of his top fighters against one of Don's. You can't overstate what that meant to Larry.
To Larry, everything is about Larry. Everyone else are pawns.
Tell me honestly, who didn't want that fight?
Only way they could get it to happen was as a charity fight.
If you lose, it's bad. But if you win, people think it's not a proper fight. Everybody thought they were just going to go through the motions.
Just a low-key fight for charity.
Well, next thing you know, Silva's out there in the press talking all that smack, and now the world is seeing what I saw all along, the classic sort of have versus have-not battle. And the movie's taking on a life of its own.
Mr. Silva, we're ready for you on stage 5.
I'm gonna hunt you down, boy. Start running now. I'll give you a chance.
Ain't that the kind of mouth that boy always had?
The thing was, everyone knew Silva was a trash talker, but this was different. This was real. This was gonna be a battle.
Silva wanted to give him a beating.
Sometimes you can't get your clothes on fast enough.
We just had to keep our boy focused. There was a lot of things going on there.
He'd just enter a room and it would be bees around a honey pot. You know what I mean?
If we could get him through these next 3 fights, I knew I could get his head clear for that meeting with Silva.
They worked at the same factory. They had the same ambition, you know, the same appetite. It was like kind of a double act, you know? That's what it was, a double act.
Because he earned my friendship, you know? We fought, he won my respect, fighter to fighter.
It was a story that appealed to everybody, you know? Ex-rivals become friends in the ring, you know? And best friends at that. And then they're going and hitting the biggest parties, East Coast, West Coast. I think the whole world of boxing got a boost out of that.
Yeah, those guys definitely lit up a few parties.
It was no secret the kid had an eye on Don's camp. What boxer wouldn't?
Carla didn't push him. If there was pressure, believe me, it was from Silva.
Silva went number one in the rankings. People forget, I played a part in that, as well as Don.
It was always on the cards. You had Don and Silva kicking up a storm, and everybody wanted him to go, except, of course, Larry.
Truth was, Don could make him bigger in a year than Larry could in 20. Silva knew it, and so did the kid.
It's not like Larry ever saw this kid as anything other than a crowd puller. Only thing was, nobody put people in the seats like this kid.
A surprise? Yeah. What do you think?
Kid went over to Don's camp, and Larry just disappeared off the radar. Some people say he was in Africa, but I don't think anyone really knew.
I knew Larry couldn't leave it that way, you know?
I was certain Larry wasn't finished. Men like him always come back.
But that's a story for a little bit further down the line.
The kid came to me, and I gave him the keys to the kingdom. The Don Kingdom, baby.
It couldn't have gotten better for the both of them. Silva ranked number 1. The kid was inside the top 20. Boxing was right back on the map. It was like a Hollywood movie.
More partying than training, if you ask me, especially in Silva's case. In Poland, we have a little saying, a noisy cow gives little milk.
It was wild, man. Some of the shit that happened at these parties was crazy.
The women. My God, the women. They were so hot they melt your eyes. We're talking some serious ass.
Johnny Murakami, he was part of that whole scene too. He was Silver's cut man. He just slid across and worked for the kid too.
Yeah, I didn't want to start drinking again. So it was the right time for me to leave. The kid didn't need me anymore. Johnny was a good cut man.
The partying was happening, sure, no doubt about that. But when Bomani hit the scene, they both sat up and took notice.
Yeah, I remember it.
I saw the fight on cable. Everyone did. Bomani's nothing but a beast.
It was something incredible to see, you know?
He unleashes a terrific blow to the head.
Right then, everyone's asking two questions. Where the hell's he come from? And where'd Larry find him?
The story is Larry Easton found Bomani in the depths of Africa, put some gloves on the brother's hands, and unleashed him.
Bomani, he was a switch hitter. And he was crazy. How can you beat a switch hitter? There's no way he can lose.
Banned in Europe, banned in Asia, banned in South America.
He stopped the 8th-ranked fighter, KO inside of 2 rounds. Oh yeah, I would say the world took notice.
Silva versus Bomani was huge.
You see how fast you can make things happen when you got something to work with?
It was Silva's call. The kid needed some work, and I had some great fights lined up for him.
Silva wanted him like that. I mean, the kid wanted him too, but Silva was number 1.
I wanted Silva to take a couple of warm-ups before Bomani. But what happened, happened.
Silva's death affected everybody. Everybody. Especially the kid. He was devastated.
It was like the world stopped spinning.
He caught him with an elbow.
Whatever it was, didn't have a glove on the end of it.
Looked like an elbow to me.
There was Ali's phantom punch against Liston. And now there was Bomani's punch against Silva. And both would be forever controversial.
The bell had gone too. It could not have looked worse.
I am sure of this. The bell had gone.
Bomani is not and never was a dirty fighter. He didn't have to be. He just did what boxers do.
Man, Silva went over like a bowling pin. You could see in his eyes. He was out before he hit the canvas.
We've just received confirmation that Jesus Silva did not regain consciousness and was pronounced dead in the ring.
Nothing. Nothing anyone could do.
So the title passes to Bomani outright with a hugely controversial knockout in the 3rd round. Unbelievable.
Bomani kept it for all of 3 days. Then the governing body stepped in. They just couldn't dodge the storm any longer.
In a statement saying Bomani has been stripped of the title. I repeat, Bomani has been stripped of the title.
No one likes losing a title without a fight, especially when they won it in the ring.
Bomani's banned. Who knows for how long? Everyone's watching to see the kid's response.
Films come through you, not from you. And I think especially when you're making a documentary, you have to roll with the punches. And the kid wasn't getting the fight that he wanted to have next. But sometimes you got to deal with the battle that life brings to you.
The kid, he was bad.
I've seen guys walk away from the sport for less.
I thought we'd lost him right there. The end of the road.
He was bad. Like an atomic bomb went off in his head. Nothing but dust cloud and fallout.
He trained. Didn't open his mouth for 2 days. Just trained.
See, we knew we could get him within range of a title shot if his head was in the game. But that if was huge.
He was on autopilot. The legs were moving, the punches were working. But who knows what was going on upstairs? It's only by a man's actions do you know what's going on in his heart. It was there, if he wanted it bad enough.
It was incredible to think he'd come from nothing to stepping into the ring, the world championship on the line.
And you absolutely have to respect the guy of his pedigree.
Everybody wanted to see terrible Terry, but truth was, Terry wasn't so terrible anymore. The man was no longer in his prime. That's a fact.
With Bomani on ice, it was the perfect time to make our move.
Larry was tied up pretty tight with the lawyers. I heard Bomani was training, and we kept our eyes on the prize.
So now everyone can get a chance to see what the kid was really made of. Did he have the intestinal fortitude to go all the way and claim his dreams? Or would he crumble and disappear?
But it wasn't enough. Wasn't even close.
He just came in, threw the belt at the locker.
The title? Yeah, okay. But it wasn't about that for him anymore.
That was Bomani's title. The whole fight was a sham.
Okay, so he's got the title. Guys are lining up from all over the world to get a crack at it. Shannon Briggs, Samuel Peter. I mean, these guys wanted it bad, like the bolt had come off the stable door.
It was a good time to be a promoter.
But the truth is, everyone's watching Larry Easton's camp for movement because, hey, you know, we want to see the real fight. The kid versus Bomani.
Yeah, but if you can't get a boxing license, you can't fight. If Nevada says no, you have nowhere left to turn.
We were being victimized.
Banned boxer Bomani jumped into fresh controversy today over reports he'd failed a third drug test.
He didn't fail the test. They found nothing. He took more tests for steroids than any boxer in a 12-week period, and they found zip.
Larry had his own fights to handle, and we had assumed that nothing was going to happen with Bomani. But, you know, we had our hands full too, you know. We had 4 title defenses to prepare for.
Yeah, Don moved up a gear, all right. You tell me. All we know is 1 second it's the fight everyone's screaming for, and then bam, Bomani gets his license back.
Did money change hands? Was there some backroom dealings? There's a good chance there was. But the media, man, they were already focused on the fight that everyone wanted to see happen.
The title is mine. You are false. Wakabayu. I am coming for you. You can't stop me. I am justice. Come down for you.
Bomani had never been beaten. He had 9 official fights that we know of, 9 of them knockouts, and 2 of those fighters never fought again. One of them still has his jaw wired up.
Bomani, he didn't think like a boxer.
He was a force of nature.
Of course, then they had to find a place where they could stage the thing.
From where I was, it looked like Don was trying to back out and let his boy cling on to the title for as long as possible. This is a title he didn't even deserve in the first place.
Bomani's new license came with so many restrictions, it was impossible to really use it. If anything, it was Don who made it happen. He's the only one who had the connections.
If there's one place on the face of America, the greatest nation in the world, and don't you ever forget it, where destiny and history can stare each other down and teach us the true meaning of character, where yesterday's nobody can become today's somebody. It's Las Vegas, baby. The sparkling crucible of great expectations, hopes, and dreams.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's on. Las Vegas will stage the fight that we've all been waiting for.
Oh, it must have been the biggest day in boxing for the last 20 years, and what happens? Bam, the kid goes underground. Doesn't want to be a part of the hoopla, doesn't want to be part of the press, nothing. So as a result, it's Bomani's face on the TV, the networks, the magazines. He's everywhere.
There was a lot of talk about Silva then, but the kid needed to get his head straight.
In Poland, we say hunger will lead the fox out of the forest. And now, the kid is hungry.
I hadn't heard from the kid in a while. He wanted me to help him train the mountains, just me and Frank, like the old days, like how it used to be.
No parties, no chat shows, no guest appearances, nothing.
There's a time to live and a time to die. It's destiny. An irresistible force against an immovable object. And something had to give, and give it did. Make no mistake about it. My boy knew that he would be tested with fire and fury inside that ring.
Yeah, I knew what Don was thinking. Frank and Carla, too. But they wouldn't have said anything to the kid. It was too late. Don's pride wouldn't let him stop that fight, even if he listened to his head.
Our pre-fight phone poll is showing 88% to 12% in favor of a Bomani victory. It's an overwhelming statistic right there. You've got to ask, is there really any way that Bomani can be stopped?
I thought Bomani was going to destroy this kid. I thought he was going to kill him. That's what I was thinking.
Bomani, too quick, too fast. No way he can lose.
Bomani hasn't been seen since. It's like he vanished. No one knows where he is.
It was a fluke, a giant fluke. Are you gonna sit here and tell me it was anything else?
You can train all you want. You could have all the talent in the world, you could have all the technique in the world, you could have all the ability oozing out of your eyeball. But in the end, it's you and your opponent in a ring. And what it comes down to is, how much heart do you have?
One of the most impressive title defenses in boxing history.
And the place just went quiet, like the volume got switched to mute.
The boy became a fighter. The fighter became a man. The man became a champion. And the champion became an example to us all.
And not just in boxing. In that moment, he wrote his name into popular culture. Now, you want a story about a guy that beats all the odds? This is it. And that's what I shot.
He was just a kid with a lot of guts who looked into the eye of the storm and never backed down. And nothing needs respect him more than that.
It was a story for everyone. It lifted everyone.
I just wanted to run through the crowd and throw my arms around him.
You see, he showed us. It ain't just about the punches you can land. It's about the punches you can take, digging deep down inside and getting every grain of soul you can muster and putting it out there, all on the line. After all, it's a hard road to glory. And that's my truth, baby.